Right, we're going to talk Chelsea now because they've been busy again. Over £200 million spent, but they've also sold well, as they often do, Chelsea, bringing in 135 million. So the net spend's not that big at the moment. Might be about to get a little bit bigger though. What's the latest on the defender, Jorrel Hato?
This deal, Matt, feels like it's edging ever closer to completion. We reported a few days ago that the deal for Hato was agreed with Ajax, a deal for an initial fee of £35.5 million for the 19-year-old. And of course, Hato, at 19 years old, has developed so much at Ajax. He wore the captain's armband at just 17 years old, and he really fits Chelsea's profile of the type of signings they have tried to get in the last 12 months or so, really rebuilding this Chelsea side. And really, the good thing about Hato is also his versatility. He can also play left back as well as centre back, and I think the idea would be to give a bit more time off maybe to Marc Cucurella, who played a lot of games last year. But it's interesting, Matt, I've been asking a few sources in the Netherlands about Hato and just what he's like, and he was described to me as a very calm personality, but also very interesting. He works individually with former Chelsea defender Winston Bogarde individually on his game, who only made a handful of appearances for Chelsea. You can tell me a story in a minute.
That's not a good thing.
I want to know more about that.
You're not watching, mate.
But I think what's interesting is Hato sees himself as a centre-back, of course. He's very good on the ball. I saw him a few years ago against Aston Villa in the Conference League, and he talked about how he wanted to play in the Premier League one day. Virgil van Dijk is his idol, of course, being Dutch. But maybe we might see a transition into a left-back, a little bit like Jurrien Timber, gone to Arsenal and found actually physicality-wise and maybe his stature, actually a full-back position maybe better suited. He has spoken to Timber quite a lot, of course, about that positional change. Tell me a bit more about Bogarde.
I can't do that. I can't do that. But obviously there was some questionable things back in the day when he was, he obviously, you know what? It's not factual, but apparently, like he didn't have a great time at Chelsea. They said they don't want him, and he was like, I don't care, just pay me my money.
Yeah.
And then, that was cut. Exactly. He didn't play again.
Let's move on from Winston.
Exactly. Yeah.
Before we upset him too much. In general, how good a window have Chelsea had?
I think they've had a good window. I like the signing of Delap, Gittins. I think is a very good signing as well. But this transfer, I really, really like because, again, he has that versatility. He can play left back, he can play centre back. He has the same kind of build as Colwill. Colwill's had a lot of injuries throughout his early career. Again, left-footed player, so he's comfortable when open up the body, and I think that's always good to have that balance in your two strikers. But when you look at their window as a whole, I really like what Chelsea's doing. Again, you said, Dan, it fits their profile, the signing, and they're going to go out there and try and win 4 competitions, so they need a strong squad, and he's another player that I think, again, he will come into that starting team. At some point, he will get in there and stay in there. That's how good he is.
I also think, when we talk about Chelsea's strategy, we spoke 12 months ago on these shows, Matt, especially about how this is such a unique strategy. I mean, it's kind of unprecedented in football. And I don't think we should ever forget that no club the size of Chelsea have gone with a strategy like this, where you invest so much money in young players, long-term contracts, absolutely, but just for a pure number of players to bring in. And we're seeing the fruits of that a little bit. We saw that at the end of last season. We saw that in the Club World Cup. And I think Liam Delap, for example, £30 million with that clause.
That's a steal.
Fantastic signing.
Do you know what? I said, I don't know what you think, Dan, but Delap has a bit of Shearer about him, younger Shearer, where he's strong, you can't push him off the ball, he scores different types of goals, he's got a real appetite, he's got a bit of arrogance on the pitch. I really like Delap as a signing. I think a lot of teams would have looked at him, I mean, again, Arsenal fan, but I would have liked to see him at Arsenal, because I think he adds a lot to a squad. He can play on the left, he plays on the right, he can play up front, number 10, he's a very good young player. I'm looking forward to seeing him this year.
It has kind of been so far a window of the strikers, hasn't it? I mean, you've been talking up Delap there, but you haven't picked him in your 3 strikers to have a look out for. Well, actually, to be fair, no, we've kind of picked them with you, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've just gone with the 3 behind me. So Gyökeres, João Pedro, and Ugo Ekitike. We're going to ask you, Jay, which of those 3 do you think is going to have the biggest impact and why?
Well, I hope it's Gyökeres. I hope it's Gyökeres. But
who do you think?
Objectively, I think it will be João Pedro, because Chelsea create a lot of chances, and Jackson last year, and even the year before, as much as he scored goals, some very good goals, he missed a lot of chances as well. And I feel like João Pedro, he's a very good player, because I wouldn't say he's a typical number 9. He gets involved in the play. You see him at Brighton, he gets involved in the play, he drifts, but then he gets back in the box. And when he's in the box, he's calm on the ball. He's not like slashing at things. You see like a real confidence as when he's in around there. I can score my left foot, I can score my right foot. If I need to take a touch, I'll take a touch. His awareness of where he is away from defenders, whether it's taking that first touch past the defender and then shooting quickly, he has that in abundance. And I think he will be very important for Chelsea. And if he can score the goals and get to, I always say, if you're a team and you have a player that is scoring 20 Premier League goals in a year, you're going to have a chance of winning the title.
Gyökeres has scored the most goals out of those 3, but is he the one who's making the biggest step up? Is there the sort of biggest question mark over him?
Yeah, as much as I'm really happy to see that we have signed a number 9, but there are questions about Gyökeres, because a lot of his goals last season were against like bottom half teams. Obviously there was a lot of penalties as well. I think the way he played at Sporting is going to be different to the way at Arsenal. He's not going to be able to be running kind of, I wouldn't say channels, but down the sides of in between fullbacks and centre halves, because a lot of teams will just sit off against Arsenal and kind of say break us down. So he's going to have to evolve his game. He's going to be having to come off into areas and be cute, little 1-2s. His awareness needs to be good. And then when crosses go in the box, he needs to be there to score headers, get them ugly goals. He didn't score a header last year. So that will be the questionable things. But there's no doubt, he's a physical specimen. He's strong, he's fast. And when the balls do get played over the top, yeah, he's powerful, and he has scored some unbelievable goals as well.